Okay, this is my first video. I have finally done it. I have been talking about this for a long time, and I am here on YouTube. It has been a week. I think I've been able to say that most weeks lately, and I'm sure that's the case for most, if not all of you watching. Not going to rehash all of the things that happened this week. Um, I think life is a lot, no matter what week we're talking about. And I did have a moment where I was attempting to take care of myself. So we're in it was the end of January, and it's been really, really cold where I am. I'm in the Philadelphia area, and it's been in the low teens for the highs, and so I haven't been able to do my walking outside. I love being in areas where there are trees and animals and um, I really like communing with nature and the kind of sigh that happens in my body when I'm out walking and really just paying attention to what's around me. And I was not able to do that because of the weather, just way too cold air to breathe for my particular lungs. And so I've been going down to the mall. They have a really big mall and can get lots of steps in there. So I go do a couple of miles at the mall. And so again, the week was a lot. I went down there to go and exercise my body because I need to keep my body functioning. I have a lot of chronic conditions and a lot of pain and different things, but the walking helps at least maintain me, and at times can really improve my the way I feel. And so down there, I'm going to do this thing for myself, even though the day was a lot, everything had been a lot. I was on social media way too much, consuming and couldn't stop at one point. And it was a really bad day to do that for the particular content that was being shared. And so I'm like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go to the mall. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to get my steps in and it's going to be great. And so I get down there and I start walking, and the stiffness in my body was incredible. It was just so pronounced, and it was painful to walk. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to do my 2 miles. I know by a mile in, I'm going to feel better, and I'm going to just keep doing it. And at a certain point, I just spontaneously spontaneously started crying. So I'm walking in the mall. I've got a mask on because I'm immunocompromised, and so I've got this mask on, um, and now I'm just crying. So I'm walking the mall, no, purse or anything with me. I'm just walking, and um, I just start crying, and and I'm like, and then I started laughing, and I'm like, why am I crying? Like, what is going on with me? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I guess today was kind of a lot, and so I just let myself. I was going to stop myself from crying because I'm like, oh, people are looking at me, and then I'm like, I don't care. Um, and it was a little bit of a release, so it was a good thing. And I got my 2 miles, and I did feel a little bit better by the end. But still wasn't great. And I came home and I was trying to get a bunch of stuff done, and I was doing some cooking and I was baking. Um, I batch cook my chicken. So part of the things that I do for myself, again, because of chronic conditions and I have energy and other physically related limits um, to what I can do, and it's different every day and every week and different times of year. But batch cooking chicken for myself to make it really easy to make meals for me and keep my protein up is something I've been doing, and it's been working well. And I go and I'm on like my third, pan full, like my third round of baking, and the pan I use is really shallow, and I really need to get a deeper pan, but it's the pan I had, and I covered it with foil and everything, and I was trying to be careful about juices and it not spilling and whatever. And the last batch, for whatever reason, it just, I guess the chicken was extra juicy, or I put too much olive oil on it or something, but it overflowed. And so dripped down into the oven. And so then when I opened the door to take the chicken out, it was so smoky and it set off the fire alarm. And I'm in a complex that I'm attached to other folks, and so, and it was pretty late at night. Well, it was moderately late at night, and so I was like, oh man, and I'm opening the doors, and so I was just, and I just broke down again, and I was like, and it seems silly, like you spilled something in the oven, but it was like this frustration of, okay, now I'm going to have to go clean the oven when, again, physically for me is going to probably strain me some and cause discomfort. And just one more thing I have to put my energy to, and the alarm going off, and again, there's just the day. So I was like, oh, I'm sure you've all had days like this. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like this is the, worst thing to happen in the world. It was just what I was experiencing that day. And again, it was on top of a lot of things having built up um, in the rest of my life and the world and what's going on. And so I was just like, all right, you know what? We're going to clean up the best we can. We're going to leave the oven mess for another day. And we got our food cooked. We're good. And try to get myself like back down to, you know, some kind of grounded baseline. And because I wanted to go to bed eventually. And I ended up going to bed really late because I couldn't reset myself and just get to a point where I could relax at all. And so I went to bed really late. And then I finally get in bed and it's the middle of the night, and it took a while for me to fall asleep, and I did my breathing and that did calm me down. And then all of a sudden, the smoke alarms start chirping. And I have a small place, and the alarm's right, it's like 10 feet from my head, basically, where I sleep. And it's chirping really loud and every 30 seconds. So I just started falling asleep, and then that happened. And I simultaneously went into this like, oh my God, what the heck? And then, um, and I was swearing. So I'll get to swearing at some point on these videos, but we'll start slow. We're gonna ease into that. Um, but I simultaneously was like enraged and like, woe is me and self-pity, and then just started laughing. I was laughing so loud. It was I was like, "Oh, you're kidding, right?" Because at this point it's like, 5:30 a.m. or something, and I haven't slept yet. And so, and I didn't have to get up. I didn't have an early appointment or anything, but it was just like, oh, and I was gonna call the maintenance folks, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna wake anybody else up. It's bad enough I have to be up, and it was the weekend and stuff, and I'm like, I will put it in for maintenance later. And so I laid there, and eventually the chirping stopped. It was probably 9 a.m. at that point. So I got a couple of hours sleep. I didn't realize I had actually fallen asleep. But in that window, that 3 hour window, I went back to my practices. So you'll hear me talk a lot about these practices, and it's something I really would like to share more about because they were super helpful to me. And I don't think I'd be getting through this time at all and functioning if it weren't for these practices. But I started doing these practices where I go into a zone. It's basically like a self hypnosis kind of thing, but it helps bring these feelings in and generate neurochemicals that I want, and just gives me an overall sense of well being. And it took a long time though. And so I did that for the next few hours, and then eventually was getting sleepy and relaxed before the chirping even stopped. And then at some point it had stopped and I didn't realize it. And I did sleep for a couple of hours. And then I woke up and I'm like, all right, now I got to take care of this and get them to come and do whatever they need to do to fix this. And they ended up having to replace the units. But a couple of hours sleep, and I'm like, oh man, like now I've got to be in a deficit with sleep all day in addition to all the other stuff. And so I was getting frustrated. And then I was like, no, like I was able to get myself to a point again with the practices which help me just get into this state of being that is the self that can be present for people and that can be present for life and to feel what I need to feel, which is all of it. Um, and I did that. And even though sleep deprived, all this stuff had happened, and the world was still like it was, and my world was still like it was this sense of I'm feeling all of the heaviness and all of the other stuff, and I feel other people's stuff too, and I feel the stuff from the collective as well, which I usually have pretty good boundaries around, but lately it's been near impossible to do. So I'm just accepting it, and then I'm also like laughing and planning and creating, and like my creativity just started popping up, and I started writing, and then I started helping like other people. I have clients and of various kinds, and I was like, oh, how can I advance life and increase life and do something life giving as well? And all of that, the creativity and the being partnered with other people in what they're trying to do in their lives, it just brought me just this wonderful, peaceful joy. And all of this other stuff was there too, the hardness, the heaviness, the angst, the frustration, the sadness, like the incredible sadness about everything that's happening external to me, um, which I'm all part of, right? Like we all are. And I was like, that I feel fully alive right then, and I do right now as well, because there's nerves with this. I'm nervous. I'm actually really good at public speaking, but for whatever reason, this is making me a bit nervous. Like my shoulders are up. I probably review the video. I'm sure my shoulders like this. Um, but I made a commitment that I was going to do this, and I very much was going to see this through. And I was inspired to start today. I've been saying I'm going to do it for several weeks now. And today was the day because of what was the past few days and weeks. And this fully alive feeling that I used to think fully alive meant just pure joy and exhilaration and that feeling when you get that adrenaline and all of that, that I used to think that was fully alive. It's not, because that ignores a whole part. And even if there's nothing going on in the world and things or situations are calm, which is very rare for all of that to be the case at one time, even if all that were there, I'm still me and a human, and I still have my own dark places and get things wrong and say the wrong things to people that, and maybe I'm not as helpful as I could be when I wanted to be, or I'm doing something that affected somebody in a way that I didn't intend, but wasn't great. Um, and just falling short of the things that I want to do. All of those things are there all the time. And if I have to pretend they're not, or I have to push them away, it's not fully alive. It's not the human thing, which is all of it, and the true self underneath, which is this just beautiful being. I'm in this body for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. I'm sure I will uh, share all of my theories about maybe why that is and what I believe at a current time. But it's it's not real and full unless it's everything. And it has to be everything also because I used to then be like, oh, I want to be in reality. And I thought reality was all the bad stuff and just that. And so I kind of went the other way. And so constantly focusing on that kind of thing and feeding it, that's also not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to feed the narratives in my conscious mind. I don't want to feed those. I want to recognize that they're there, and I want to recognize the things that are hard and the feeling in my body, the emotion, whatever they are. And I could just let them be there. That has taken practice. And as you can see from my story in the beginning, it doesn't always happen. When I'm really good about it and I've been doing it faithfully for a while, it starts to feel almost automatic. And then I let it slide. And then I get overwhelmed. I get distracted by life. And because I have 50 plus years of doing it the other way, it kind of creeps back. So I'm in my process still of unlearning basically all of the ways from before, and uh, this art of alive. So I call it art of alive because, I used to say science because there's a science piece, there's a neuroscience piece to this, which I will, I'm sure, talk about at some point as well. But because we're all so different, we have, genetically, generationally, the things that come with us um, are situations where we're born and grew up in the world, the socioeconomic conditions, the cultures, even within families, you still have great differences. And so it really is an art of how to go about this and how you use these practices and how you find your own way of moving through the world that makes sense for you, feels right for you, and allows you to be this fully alive with all the pieces of it and be okay and be able to contribute and function, and not in a productive, like I got to accomplish things kind of way, but in a I can create and I can connect with people and I can love fully because of this, because I'm not so distracted or um, mired in all that there is. I can be free um, to to be, and to be along with other beings. And that connection and that collective thing is a beautiful feeling. And when I can hold all of the pieces of me and all the experiences at the same time, I can also hold those for other people. It makes it easier and more fulfilling to be part of everybody else because all of us have that mix. And it's not to say that I am not careful about the people who I spend lots of time with. I am. Um, Even those who are, grounded and accept themselves as whole and are self-aware and emotionally intelligent and all of that, still humans. We're all still humans, and how challenging and messy and beautiful that is. And I want to be present for all of it. I want to be here and in the moment for all of it and be available to it. And yeah, I know I am rambling. You're going to see a lot of that. I had a tendency to, I have a tendency to overthink, and the thinking part of me takes over. And that is the part of me that prevents the being fully alive. It's useful when I need to do something cognitively intensive. It's great. And all other times, needs to go on vacation. um, because this other part of me is the magic part. And so today I was inspired to do this, and I just said, I am going to do this by a few other people who have been encouraging, both somebody I know and somebody I don't, who I've been watching um, on social media and seeing their journey and them doing this imperfectly for their own things that they want to share. And it's been encouraging, but also because of what is today. And so today, well, we have a full moon in Leo today. So I am not an astrologer. I am not an expert in this. I do use it from time to time as a reflective tool for myself, as a mirror. Again, just more self-awareness tools, more being able to be tools, and human design as well, which is something I will talk about too, because I have felt that very helpful to understanding myself a little bit more. And but yeah, full moon in Leo today, which also coincides with um, Imbolc, which it's pronounced different ways, um, but it is Imbolc if you want to look it up. It is one of the Celtic Gaelic holidays. I am part Irish, and this is my ancestry. And I have found great meaning in a lot of the ancient festivals and practices. And so this one, um, the goddess, it's spelled Bridget basically, but it's Brigitte or Brit, as you'd probably hear it pronounced in Ireland. And she is the goddess of healing and kind of transformation. And the holiday is kind of midway through um, winter, basically. So we had the winter solstice, and then we have the spring equinox, and it's right in the middle. And it is, while things are still cold, still hard, still underground, it's getting ready to bloom, to start budding. Like things are, the sprouts are getting ready to start coming up, right? And so just metaphorically for our lives, um, it is a time to hold both. So it honestly seemed really perfect. It's like, nope, things are still kind of feeling, it's cold, it's nothing's happening, and things are difficult and challenging, and oh, but we're right there on the edge. We can see it, we can feel it. And I I just find this meaningful to me. So people use light candles as a way to kind of symbolize that these things are starting to come back, but it's still a quiet pace. It's still a preparation phase, and but it is, I think, the goddess I have most relation to out of that, right? So it's a practice again. It's not a super belief. It's something I use as a symbol, as rituals for myself, and it's very interesting. And then, of course, we have Chinese New Year coming up, and um, a lot of astrology that will has started to occur and will be occurring. We had um, the moon as well, and Jupiter were right near each other. So we had the full moon, Jupiter, you can see really bright. And um, Jupiter is about fortune. And yeah, so there's a lot of stuff happening. And, the Chinese zodiac, the year of the fire horse approaching, and how things are kind of shifting. And we are now in a um, going to a 1 year anyway, I'll talk more probably about some of that stuff later. But it was just a sign of a slight shift. And I was like, well, this slight shift, this moon, Jupiter, um, Imbolc, um, it all felt like it's time. And so, so I'm here, and I'm, I don't know, I'm happy that I could do this and be here. And I'm really hoping that whoever is still listening will know that even when things are hard, there are ways to find a little bit of light. When I was at my lowest, I've had a few of those, but at my lowest, where I actually couldn't physically function at all, and I have a ridiculous amounts of privilege as well. I mean, it's, um, always grateful for all of that, and don't take it for granted. And at times, I've had, like I was saying, moments where I couldn't physically function. I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't stay awake, and I couldn't talk to anybody or be near anybody or get any stimulus or there was a lot. I don't want to go into all of that. I don't think it's necessary. But I couldn't really do anything, and it's really hard to find the light there because I was done. I've had chronic illness for many, many, many years. 16 years, 17 years. And I was done. I was tired. I was like, oh my God, not again, and worse this time. And because of flares that come for various reasons. And it had been months, and I was like, I'm like that. So months like that. And I was like, I'm just done. And I sitting on my couch, and I had to sit in like a certain way in order to be able to even exist without excruciating discomfort. And I looked over, and on the wall, like you can see, I have blinds here. Um, on the wall, there, the sun was setting, and so through the blinds, which were open a bit, on the opposite wall, you could just see this really warm, soft light with these shapes. And I picked up my phone, holding it with two hands because it was hard. It was honestly hard to lift. I mean, it was, I think about it now and I'm like, wow. So again, grateful that I can move my hands around and talk. And I lift my phone up, and I just took some photos. And there weren't many of them, but I just saw something in this vision on the wall. And photography has been a hobby of mine since I was little. And the fact that I had that, so it's a few photos, and I kept the photos because, and I look back at them now, I'm like, that wasn't anything. There weren't any great photos or anything. And I didn't tell a story or, you know, have an emotion really to them, except they do for me because this was something, there was that little light. It was like a tiny bit of creativity came out, which gave me a teeny bit of maybe this existence has something to it. And it wasn't even like, oh, well, maybe I'm going to get better. It was just, I can be in this and I get this little piece. And that was good. That was a win that day. That was good. So when I say things, I don't mean them to be like, oh, well, this is easy. And None of this is easy. Being human is not easy. Living on this planet isn't easy. Living in the US right now isn't easy. There's lots of places where it's never been easy. And this is as somebody who was born here, which is a privilege in a lot of ways, and had an education, a good education, and is white. And I lost my train of thought. I completely lost it. Oh, and that's okay. What I'm saying is it's not easy. And if it ever sounds like I'm saying, oh, just do this, it's easy, it's not easy. And I don't ever mean it to sound like that, because it's just not. There are different levels of hard, basically. And I don't know why it's like that. I have no idea. I just know that's what it is. And for me, what I've come to for myself, and this continuing journey and challenge of living in this body, it's just my lot. This is what I have right now. This is what exists. And there's nothing else that I can do to change right now. Right now is what there is. And so whatever my response is has to include being with that and whatever that is. And it loosens it somehow when I can do it. So again, I'll suggest things maybe sometimes, or say, oh, this is great, this worked for me. And then you'll be like, but it may not work for everybody, right? And especially the way I do it is my own unique thing. Like I make up like narratives in my head about, how all this stuff fits together. And it's going to not make sense to most people. And everybody has to do it their own way. But there's a way. I don't know how readily an individual will be able to do it versus another. I don't live in your life, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. I don't live in it. So what I can do is share from me and from people I've worked with, not their stories, but general concepts of things and different ways other people have done it, and hope that it helps you have a better experience of your own life. It helps you truly experience your own life. And it helps you start to experience fully alive. I am Suzanne, and I hope you will continue on this journey with me as I very imperfectly go through this messy, and see, I messed up the word messy. Messy, sometimes freaking scary, beautiful, meaningful, confusing, awesome, fully aliveness. It's not a tagline. Maybe at some point I'll have one, but I think the point is that this week I am reigniting, reorienting, recalibrating, and returning to my practice of being with all that is, so that I can be fully alive. I wish that for everyone listening.